Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sisters of the Strange. I'm Shae.
And I'm Landrey. I recorded over an hour of an episode and decided I hated it. We weren't even a third of the way through, so it's probably good because
oh my God,
I'm going to have to split that in two for sure because that was an hour and 13 minutes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that worked out then.
Shae is exhausted.
I'm like, I need this one to be less than an hour.
Yeah. Shae had to work all night.
But Shae's tired. Shae's hungry. Shae wants a cheeseburger and to go to sleep. But Shae has to record another episode. So we got to get through it.
Today, I'm just going to be doing, this was my second story because I was supposed to record 2 episodes today. We are falling behind, but it's fine. We're going to figure it out.
We are so behind.
We're going to get there for you guys. Anyways, I'm going to read some just ghost stories. I will have my sources cited, so you can go find the source for this in the show notes.
Heck yeah.
But we are going to start off with a story called The Sassy Doppelganger.
Ooh. Is her name Katarina?
Ooh, slay. What if it was?
Katarina?
Katarina. This story happened to a friend of mine when she was 18 years old. At the time, she lived in a trailer with her mom. My friend would typically get off the bus and return home at 3:30 p.m. every day. Some days, her mom would get home first, and others vice versa. Whoever got home first would unlock the door. On this day, my friend's mom had just gotten home. She was sitting in the living room trying to relax after a day at work, and the door to my friend's bedroom opened, and my friend walked into the hall and into the living room and just started screaming. She was hysterical and said things like, "F you, Mom. I hate you. You're horrible. You're the worst mom ever, and I wish that you would go away and die." Then my friend walked back into her room. Her mom was completely flabbergasted. They had a great relationship up until then, and this was totally out of character for her daughter. At the same time, as the bedroom door slammed, the front door opened, and in walked my friend, who had just gotten off the school bus.
Ooh.
Her mom, not understanding what was going on, ran out on the porch just in time to watch the school bus pull away. The person who had cursed this woman out could not have been her daughter. It would have been physically impossible. The mom had just been read the riot act by a doppelganger. When I talked it over with my friend, she told me that the most frightening thing about this was that the doppelganger was able to convince her mom that it was her child. After this experience, they moved out of that trailer within a couple of months.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
How horrible.
Yeah.
And mom's like,
hello?
You're grounded.
I'm like walking out of a room and just screaming. Honestly, I get that.
I understand.
But
gee willikers.
Gee willies.
Since you said that, the next story is It Gave Me the Willies.
Ah! Wow.
I'm going to read it since you said gee willies.
I like it.
I used to be a social services case manager. My job was to work with clients who found themselves in tough situations. For those who had legal trouble, part of my job was to take them to court for their hearings. Each morning, the court would have a big cattle call starting at 9 a.m. You would sit and wait for your client's turn. Sometimes this would take hours. On this one occasion, I was waiting for my client. Many of these cases were for petty theft, possession of drug paraphernalia, and other lower-level crimes. At one point, they brought in a detainee from the jail. He had big black splotches on him and looked as if he had some horrible disease. I kept looking at him and thinking, what is wrong with this poor guy? I turned my head for just a second, and when I came back, no splotches. I stared at the man for some time, and clearly they were gone. I couldn't understand it. I had seen them plain as day. Then they read out the charge against him, and it was for murder.
Oop!
That had never happened before. These people were always up on charges for less serious crimes. Did the fact that he may have been involved in a murder have anything to do with the splotches? Was it some visual manifestation that vanished just as quickly as it came? I just don't know. I'm not sure what it was, but it gave me the willies.
Interesting.
I wonder if it was almost like an aura reading. Like if she could like kind of, but doesn't know she's got that like.
Got that thing?
The ability? Yeah.
What color did she say the splotches were?
Big black splotches.
Strange.
I agree.
It's also strange that there would be a convicted murderer in a cattle call type situation at a courtroom.
Yeah.
I just feel like that doesn't happen.
That's what even she said. She was like, this is not normal.
Weird.
Normally for, she said, lower and like petty theft. This next one is called The Little Blonde Boy.
Oh boy.
We moved into our house about 15 years ago. When we first moved in, there were few signs of paranormal activity, except that when the kids were both away, I would see what looked like a little blonde boy run up and down the hall. One time when he showed up, I said to my husband, "Honey, can we close the bedroom door? It looks like something is peeping at us." He said, "The kids aren't here." And I said, "It doesn't matter. Can we please shut the door?" So he did, and we slept through the night, and everything was great. One day, my older son Alex was playing with his toys, but he kept talking to someone, so I asked him who he was talking to. He replied, "That little boy." I looked around the room and said, "Okay, do me a favor. Please tell the boy that you need to take a nap right now." He did, and Alex went to sleep with no problem. I continued to see the little blonde boy run back and forth by the door at night. Then it escalated. The kids' toys started turning on and off by themselves when they were at school. Even after I removed the batteries, a remote control truck kept running. We tried to figure out why without any logical explanation. We could not get it to stop. Finally, my husband threw it in the trash.
Period.
Valid. I also had these little wooden figurines of a captain and his first mate. When I would return from an errand, they would be moved all over the house. After this happened a few times, I put my foot down. When I returned home and found them scattered around again, I yelled out loud, "I don't mind you playing with them, but you have to put them back when you're done." And you know what? They have never moved since. The little blonde boy I see has never been malevolent or caused any problems. My son is now 17 years old, and we still will see something out of the corner of our eye, run up the hallway, and pass the door. On Tuesdays, it is family movie night. We gather into my bedroom and watch television. We often see something go by the door. I will go out in the hallway and say, "Look, either come in and watch it with us or go down to the living room because you're not going to keep making us miss this movie because we're watching you." And then it'll stop. We've lived with this for 15 years, but as my kids have gotten older, the activity has decreased. They have given their toys away, so now the little blonde boy does not have anything to play with.
Aw.
He just likes to peep. To me, it feels like he just wants to be noticed. If I do the mom thing and say, "Okay, now stop it," he goes away. It would take a 6-foot guy with a chainsaw to scare me, so I'm not afraid to give this little ghost boy a piece of my mind.
That's so uncomfy, but like sad and comforting at the same time.
Yeah, I appreciate that he listens and he's not mean. Like, it does seem like it's actually just a little blonde boy. It's not a malevolent spirit trying to be a little blonde boy.
Yeah. He just keeps getting in trouble by mom.
Yeah. Typical little boy behavior.
Yeah.
I don't want to see a little boy ghost running around my house per se.
Me neither. Or playing with my children.
And the toys in the middle of the night.
Yeah. No, thank you.
All right. This one's about UFOs.
Ooh, yay.
My father was a salt of the earth kind of guy. He was born in 1932 in the small town of Jamestown, Tennessee. His upbringing was very rural, very country. He's passed now, but when he was about 10 years old, he had a very strange experience that he never liked to talk about. It happened in 1942, so we're talking pre-Roswell here.
Okay.
One night, my dad woke up and found himself outside. He had apparently been sleepwalking. He looked up into the sky and saw a cigar-shaped glowing craft floating above him, then it flew off. Recently, I was talking to my uncle, his brother, about all of this. He said he was in 8th or 9th grade when he had an even stranger experience in the same area. He had been out with his grandmother picking berries. He had picked his gallon, so he figured he'd head back home. And as he was walking through the woods, he saw 2 bizarre creatures. I asked him, what did they look like? I assumed he was going to tell me about traditional gray aliens with big black eyes, but he told me they were really small and that they had 4 arms. He also said one of them was down in a hole in the ground and the other was standing above it. They were pulling these metallic-looking rocks up out of the ground. My uncle said, "I don't understand what is going on, but they did see me observing." Then, these aliens started walking up a nearby hill. My uncle followed them. He came upon their spacecraft, but he couldn't see the creatures anymore. He said it was circular, like the traditional saucer we all know. He walked up to it, saw it had a ramp coming from it with the door open. He tripped on the ramp, then he decided to leave. He went back down the hill and found his sister Louise. He told her about the spacecraft, and they went back to where he had been in all of this. Of course, the hole in the ground was gone, and so was the ship. There wasn't any trace of anything amiss. My dad was open to this kind of stuff, but he also would tell you straight out if he thought something was BS. In my mind, he was completely credible, and I always believed him. He never made a big deal of it, In fact, my mother never even knew about his weird encounter until I told her about it after his death.
Interesting.
I want to know if he hallucinated that whole situation.
Yeah.
Or if he actually saw aliens coming down and moving around.
Collecting rocks.
Yes.
I don't know. How old did they say was 10?
Well, that was when his dad had the experience.
Oh,
and then
his
uncle
okay.
had his own when he was, I believe it said 18 or 19.
Oh, okay. I missed that piece.
Yeah, so the part about the hole and all of that was the uncle.
Okay. But interesting that it happened to both of them, I guess.
I would be like, am I going absolutely crazy right now? Because I swear I just saw this. I followed them. I actually stumbled over what I saw.
And now it's gone.
And within 5 to 10 minutes, it's gone completely. And the hole is buried up. Like, what did I see?
Yeah, somebody's lying.
Why did they let me see them?
Yeah.
But now that they know I have you can't see them.
Yeah. Fucking aliens, man.
I'm doing a lot of research on aliens, too. I've been listening to the Sean Ryan episode about if aliens are actually demons.
Dude, the Book of Enoch?
I don't even know if it's about the Book of Enoch. Sean Ryan has another episode about the Book of Enoch.
You will lose your absolute marbles. I think you will.
The episode I'm listening to currently is 4 hours long. So it's taking me a minute to get through.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad was like, you have to listen to this because it also goes down to them living in the ocean. And that's what actually lives in the ocean is fallen angels and not aliens, or they are aliens, but they're all fallen angels. Anyways, whole thing. I haven't gotten that far. I've just started listening, but I do need to listen. He also has a Book of Enoch episode that's like right after it.
It's the craziest shit.
I've never looked into it at all. I have no idea.
The rabbit hole is deeper than any rabbit hole I think ever in the history of ever.
Really? I'm intending to listen.
Like my coach talked to me about it specifically for the Sean Ryan one because he listened to it and he was like, oh, I haven't listened to it. The stuff that he was telling me from the episode, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This world is like just not at all what I thought. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
It makes you question everything.
One thing that makes me question a lot, and I was kind of talking to one of our people on the Discord about it yesterday, is my father is a massive conspiracy person. He's deeply religious, but also extremely into all the conspiracies about everything. And that man has government clearance for his job. And his job is building, like if you look up his work's website, it talks about creating aerospace pieces. Mm-hmm. Like they have sent solar stuff up into orbit. I don't want to say too much because he works at like a one-off place. So I don't want you to be like able to research where my father works.
Yeah.
But he has government clearance that has to do with all sorts of stuff. And so I'm like, what do you know that you can't tell me about?
To say.
For you to be so heavy into these things. Mm-hmm. Like, what do you know?
Yeah. But you'll never know.
No. Some of his stuff is a little too far. Like I mentioned yesterday, he was like, oh, you better not let your son watch SpongeBob. It has to do with Epstein Island.
Oh, I was miss me with that.
I was like, well, he's allowed to watch SpongeBob. SpongeBob's not off the roster.
Yeah, I hate to break it to you.
Not off the roster. I'm not seeing that. But I haven't done my own research on it to validate it, you know?
Fair.
But it does seem like one of these whenever you're listening to them talk about it. But
yeah.
He's got some knowledge somewhere else. Something.
Sometimes when people talk about stuff, like you're like, are you talking out of your ass? But you're doing it so well that everything makes sense? Or am I crazy? Or are you like right?
Yeah.
Are you telling me the truth?
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
That's why it's so crazy.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes. And especially like we've all been taught certain things for so long that when you hear certain things like that, you're like, but that's not what I've learned ever.
But it makes sense.
But I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah. Yeah. Wild behavior.
And you would think if you believe in one conspiracy, you'd almost believe in all. Wrong. I can listen to one conspiracy and be like, that's coincidental.
That. Yeah.
But I'll listen to another conspiracy and I'll be like, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Like Marilyn Monroe, for example.
That one's crazy.
That one I do believe in. Certainly. But I think there's also pieces of a lot of these conspiracies that tie together that we don't know about. So,
correct.
We're learning. The world is evolving.
Correct.
Okay, we're going to listen or read about the hissing shadow man.
Ew.
You don't want to be hissed at by a shadow man?
No, this doesn't sound fun at all.
I don't want to be hissed at by a human.
Anything. Yeah, correct.
If my husband like woke up in the middle of the night and was like,
Immediate ick.
I would immediately icked, yes. But I would also scream and run out the body shape of Landrey out the wall.
You're getting throat chopped.
Like,
yeah.
There was one time. He's going to be like, did you really put this on the podcast? There was one night he had just fallen asleep and he was like, "Rawr." And I said, what? He was like, I'm a dinosaur. I like chomped.
He was asleep?
Yes. And he like chomped. And I was like, what the hell was that? And when he woke up, I was like, what was that? And he was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Bro, you were a dinosaur.
But I was like, why are you doing that right now? And he was asleep. He was done.
Dead asleep. Oh my God.
Hilarious. So when I was 14, my older sister and I shared a room. My uncle was going through a divorce at the time, so he came and stayed with us a few nights while he got his things situated. He slept in the living room. During his visit, there was a heaviness in the house, almost like a depression, which I believe people can feel those things. One night, I was lying in bed and could not sleep. My sister was up on the top bunk, and I was on the bottom. I decided to play some soft music to help me sleep. All of a sudden, I was paralyzed. I looked up, and the beaded curtains in the doorway were moving like somebody was entering the room. I thought, that's a good thing. Whoever is coming in can shake me out of this paralysis. I saw a dark shadow at the door wearing a white shirt and a ball cap. I'll never forget it. I couldn't see any features on his face, just a dark shadow. My first thought was my uncle, who was in the next room, was coming in. I was still frozen. It crept me out because the shadow man was staring at me. I could also hear it hissing at me, and it extended its hand as if it wanted to claw at me. There was a dog gate on the door, and this thing was shaking it. It was reaching toward me while hissing the whole time. I was completely frozen, but I started praying. I guess at desperate times, you don't know what else to do. All of a sudden, the shadow was gone, and I could move. Immediately, I climbed into my sister's bed and woke her up. I told her about what happened, and she believed me. My sister and I have a very honest relationship. We ran together to my parents' room at the end of the house. I was terrified of my uncle at this point because I thought he'd been hissing at me. As we were going to my mom's room, I saw that my uncle was sleeping on the couch with his back facing us. He was wearing a blue shirt and plaid pajama pants. He wasn't the shadow man at all. My parents woke up and they believed me too. They turned on all the lights and prayed over the house. We girls went back to bed and we never saw this thing again. To this day, I cannot explain what it was. We always thought it might have been a negative energy that created the spirit because of the situation with my uncle's divorce. That was about 15 years ago, and I'll never forget it. I'm grateful that I have not seen anything like that again since.
Ew.
Yes.
I could agree that it's probably some just energy.
Yeah, or maybe he was going through a divorce because he had some dark energy tied to him.
Yeah, maybe.
Never know. I will never forget the time that we saw Gus together, and I think Echo was asleep on the couch, and it was like storming, and we were just going to go to the kitchen and get a snack. And we saw a black shadow like from the dining room down the hallway. And we said, we don't need a snack anymore. And we went back to our room.
We're good.
I think it's crazy that we both saw it together. It's like a super validation where you're like,
yeah. Oh yeah, you saw that? Okay, I saw that.
Cool. We saw that at the same time.
Yeah. Whenever I heard her say that like we both ran to our parents' room, it reminded me of us, like specifically going from our room at that house to their room.
Yeah.
Not that we ever did that, but like that's just what I pictured. Like what
us running there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's something that we would have done together.
Together. Absolutely not doing it alone. Even in our house after that, that was a horrifying house. I had my own bedroom. Shae had her own bedroom. I slept with Shae every night. It got to the point where we were so scared of that house, we slept downstairs. We didn't even sleep upstairs anymore because the upstairs was so scary.
So scary. It was so isolating.
I didn't like it at all.
We never went in your room ever.
For the longest time, I thought Shae was just mean. I thought she was a bully. Because when we were at that house, I would need to go get something from upstairs and she would be like, I'm not going with you. And I was like, yeah, you are. I'm not going up there alone.
We did everything together already anyways.
Yes. And so when she wouldn't go up there with me, I was like, you're being mean. Like, what are you doing? And it got to the point where my dad would have to go stand at the bottom of the stairs and I would absolutely sprint up the stairs, run and get whatever it was I needed and sprint back down. Like I was terrified of the upstairs. And now I realize it was because you were scared of it too.
Yeah, it was so scary.
And you were like, I'm just not going up there.
I just don't want to go up there.
Yeah.
No thanks.
But even the downstairs I never liked sleeping in the living room. because of the archways, I guess.
Yeah. So whenever I slept in the living room, whenever I was by myself, I didn't sleep upstairs. Like on the off chance that I did, like that was rare that I slept upstairs.
Yeah.
But like towards the end, when I was by myself, and I don't think my mom was there, like I think it was like at that point.
Yeah.
I would sleep in the living room on that big chair, not on the couch. I would sleep on that big chair, like facing away from everything, but only the TV.
Yeah.
You know? And I still couldn't sleep. I never slept.
No.
Ever when I was by myself in that house.
Even when we were together, I feel like I woke up constantly.
Yeah.
It was just a very scary, unsettling house.
Mm-hmm.
And still to this day, it is on the market all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely something
sketchy.
Something's up with that house for certain. And it was like me and Shae recognized it when we lived there, I think. We both were like, this is a scary house.
Yeah.
And then she kind of moved out and you would still come sometimes, but sometimes it was just me and I would always have a friend.
Yeah.
And even my friends, we wouldn't sleep in the bedrooms. We would sleep upstairs in the living room, but we would sleep in the furthest corner we could. And I remember one night we could hear something coming up the stairs, but we never saw anything come up the stairs. Like you couldn't. And we both were just like, it was me and Bailey and we were just laying in the.
I swear I heard it all the time.
Yeah, we were just sleep, but we slept in the furthest corner of the living room upstairs on like a pallet because the furniture was gone. The only thing that was up there was a TV. And so we literally slept in that furthest corner and that happened. And I was like, well, I think it's time to go home, like to my mom's house. But we enjoyed going there because we had a pool. Yeah. And like a pool table and hot tub. Like things outside were fun, but inside it was like, let's just not go inside.
Ever.
Let's just sleep outside.
Yeah.
So.
It's just weird.
It was a very sketchy house.
Yeah, something was wrong with that place.
Okay, now it is called He's Looking for You.
Ugh.
Great title. That's how you get us. Like if you want us to read, well, we're going to read listener stories anyways, but send us the most intriguing title you can think of.
Yeah. Put some shit in the subject line.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to get the shivers from the title.
The title alone, you're like, oh God. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Don't like that. All right. This happened to me late February of 2015. My friend and I decided to meditate, and we had never done it before. I had been going through a deep depression, and we thought maybe this would help. We were in her apartment. I got deeply into it, and I felt like I was completely somewhere else. It was like being on a different plane. My eyes were closed, and I saw a lady with dark hair wearing a white dress. I do not remember any of her other features. She started asking me questions. What's wrong? Why are you feeling like this? Then she told me everything was going to be okay. When I came out of my meditation, my friend was staring at me. She looked scared and I felt weird, so I asked her what was wrong. She said, "You looked tense and scared." When she came out of her meditation, she looked at her curio cabinet and saw the reflection of two red eyes looking at me. We looked around the apartment to see if we could figure out what the logical explanation might be, but we could not find anything. We were pretty freaked out. A couple of months later, she called me. She told me that while she was doing the dishes, she felt a dark male entity. Somehow she knew it was looking for me. It wouldn't go away, so I finally screamed, "She's not here, just go away, she's not here," and it left. A bit later, she called me again and said he was here again, and he was standing between the front door and the curio cabinet. This time, she saw him. It was a dark figure and had a pale face with red eyes. She could tell he was still looking for me, but it felt like he was starting to give up because I was not there. I think it may have been demonic. Nothing further happened with my friend after that. I have had some other experiences sensing entities in the stock room at the store where I work. I will not go in there again by myself. These things are real, I know, because I've experienced them.
Period.
I mean, she had to have gotten into like a real state of meditation.
Correct. But also that house or apartment, wherever she was in, I feel like maybe that probably wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, like a mix of two things.
Had she not been doing it there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, like a perfect storm.
Yeah.
Right place, right time.
Because
wrong place, wrong time, really.
they came back to that apartment specifically, not to her.
Yeah.
You know?
Like she was able to call it in, but it was because of where she was. But it knew that it needed
maybe
her.
there was something in that apartment. Yeah.
Interesting. How spooky.
Very.
All right. This is called the Ouija board riddle. Unlike you guys in the States, here in Australia, we don't have commercial versions of Ouija boards.
Australia! Sorry, I love Australia.
Growing up, we would get pieces of paper, rip them up, write the letters of the alphabet down, and then write yes and no. These were homemade, but they worked. It was my mom who first introduced us to doing this.
Mother.
My dad told us at a very young age, do not play with a Ouija board.
Amen. Chloe, fact check this.
I'm like, he put that in our brain immediately.
That's because that's weird. I've never heard that.
I haven't either. My story happened when I was about 16 and we were at a family friend's house. The grown-ups were off socializing and the kids, including my brother and I, were bored to death. So we came to the logical conclusion that we should have a seance. As children do, honestly.
Correct.
So we made our board and off we went. Most everyone asked about the future. What am I going to be when I grow up? And who am I going to marry? But when it came to my turn, I asked who I was going to marry, and the board spelled out Craig. And then something like Riddle.
You're lying.
It says this. The last name wasn't spelled exactly like that, like actual Riddle, but I hadn't seen the board's very way of spelling it before, so that's what came to mind. Immediately, I discounted it because I had a serious crush on a guy named Craig at school, but that wasn't his last name. I thought, oh, it'll be my Craig. I asked if this was the Craig I knew, and the board said no. I figured it was completely wrong, so I moved on to other things. I asked, how old will I be when I get married? And it said 22. I thought, wow, that's a bit younger than I was expecting, but okay. Soon the parents came in and put a stop to the seance. After that, I didn't think any more of it until years later. I did get married to a man with a very similar last name to Riddle. Although it is incorrect to do so, everyone calls me Miss Riddle. It says, although it is incorrect to do so, everyone calls me Miss Riddle. If we're in a waiting room, I'll hear Miss Riddle. Wherever I am, it's Miss Riddle. One day I became frustrated. It was the third time that I'd been called Miss Riddle that day. I wondered about the first time I saw it written. Then I suddenly remembered. It was the seance. That is when I had first seen my married name. It was spelled correctly by a Ouija board long before I ever met my husband. I thought maybe I remembered incorrectly because it had been so long. So the next time I saw my brother, who was there that night, I asked, hey, do you remember that seance we did when we were kids over at John and Rebecca's? He said, yeah. And I said, do you remember the name that it spelled out about the guy I was going to marry? His face turned white and his jaw hit the ground. He said, it spelled it correctly. And I said, yeah, it did. We were both so shocked. I didn't meet my husband until I was 20, so I couldn't have known his name during the seance when I was 16. Another thing you might be interested in knowing is that we did marry when I was 22, just like the board said, but that's not all. My husband's first name, it is Craig, just like the Ouija board said. The board spelled out both his first and last name perfectly. I wish that I had written everything down that board communicated that day, because when I did remember it, it was completely amazing.
No way.
Apparently.
I've never been on live television before. That's wild.
It is wild. Craig.
Craig sent me.
Craig sent me. I call people Craig so much that whenever we found out I was having a boy, which I have not said that on the podcast before. I've said it and edited it out, but I am having a boy.
Oh.
But whenever we found out I was having a boy, my nephew goes, are you going to name it Craig?
Yes.
I was like, no, I'm not.
That's pretty much going to be his name, I think.
Probably.
I want to know like what the last name like actually is though, because she said it was spelled the same, but it's not pronounced that way. So now I'm curious. I mean, you may not know that information and that's okay, but that's just the question that's lingering for me.
The board spelled out Craig and then something like Riddle. The last name wasn't spelled exactly like that, exactly like the Riddle, but I hadn't seen the board's way of spelling it before, so that's what came to mind immediately. So maybe it's Riddle, but spelt different. Or maybe it's like Whittle or something like that.
Interesting.
So maybe it spelt Riddle, but not in this sense, not in the Riddle.
Yeah.
So she is Riddle, but they're saying it. Like maybe it's Rittle or something like that.
Ah, okay.
Okay, this one is hide and go seek. When I was 7 years old, I was playing hide and go seek in the dark with my sister Ariel and our next door neighbor Angie. It was one of our favorite games as kids. We would go down to the basement.
Oh, girl.
So that immediately
wrong.
Not the path. We would go down to the basement and black out all the windows with heavy drapes. Then we would put towels under the door so there was no light in the room.
What are we doing?
I don't know. I'm offset. This round, it was my big sister's turn to count. My friend and I thought we would be clever, so we piled my grandmother's old rocking chair with pillows and blankets to make it look like somebody was hiding there. Both of us ducked behind the door across the room and waited for my sister to come in. She immediately beelined for the chair, thinking that somebody was there. She said, "Come out. I know you're there." She picked up one of the pillows and threw it behind the chair. Not 3 seconds later, it came flying back and hit her in the face.
Oh, no.
There was no one else in the house. My mom and stepdad were both at work, and it was just us kids. Ariel became incensed at this point. She said, "Angie, I know you're back there. Just come out." She threw another pillow. We all heard something scamper across the floor and go behind the couch. Arrow reached over and flipped on the lights. Angie and I came out from behind the door, and we asked, "What's going on?" Ariel looked over at us. "How did you get over there so fast?" I said, "Angie's been here with me the whole time." We were terrified after that, and we stayed upstairs with all of the blinds open until our parents came home. There was no more hide and go seek that day. The trick had been on us.
Yeah, no shit. That's what you get for blacking out all the freaking windows and the doors
in the basement.
In the basement.
Something scampering.
Scampered? No,
I'm
didn't
good.
like that.
I am okay. Okay, ghost legs. I lived in a rather haunted apartment for a couple of years. It was located in historic Silverton in Oregon. From the first time I saw it, the place just seemed to have a lot of character, and I had several experiences there. As soon as I moved in, things started happening. It seemed to me that whatever was there was trying to communicate with me. I would hear voices at night, things would be moving around, and I started having strange dreams. They always got me right in between the waking up and sleeping state, where I was just starting to wake up. The strangest thing that ever happened was the story I called ghost legs. It was summer and it was boiling in the apartment, so I was sleeping on my couch in the living room. I woke up and standing in front of me were a pair of legs, nothing else, just a pair of legs. I screamed and it seemed to surprise the legs. All of a sudden, these disembodied appendages were dancing all around.
Stop.
I went to sit up and the legs jumped over me. They tripped on me trying to jump over the couch, fell on the floor, and then scattered away. That woke me up completely. I was laughing because the whole situation was so ridiculous. Later on in the morning, I noticed I had a bruise on my leg. It was right where the ghost leg's foot had tripped over me. So rather than just a dream, the leg must have actually been there, and they made their mark. The ghost legs didn't follow me after I left, but I kind of wish they would have. They were funny. There were a lot of personalities and spirits in that building. Maybe these ghost legs represented one of the more playful spirits. It could be why the ghost legs showed up that day, but I don't know. I would lose my mind.
I'm thinking of like pirate legs, like a belt and like striped
Jack Sparrow.
like yeah, and like elf shoes.
Oh.
Like I don't know. It's just what I'm picturing in my brain. That is so strange.
I kind of was leaning more towards the Home Alone lamp. That's like fish stockings or whatever. I was seeing more of that.
Oh my God. How strange.
I would probably freak the hell out.
That's so funny though.
It is funny, but it's also like horrifying. Why is there just legs?
Why is there legs?
Just
where's the
dancing
rest of the body?
of
Yeah. Ghost
I
legs.
do see like the scampering where it's like,
yeah,
I gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
Just falling everywhere. How silly. All right. This one is called Paul Revere Rides Again. This happened in 2011 when I was with a friend of mine. We went to the great city of Boston, Massachusetts. We were going to visit all the historical sites. One of our stops was the old granary burial ground, where we saw the graves of Sam Adams and John Hancock, amongst others. This is me speaking, not the story. That cemetery is not even like a full block. Like it's tiny. And it has so many graves and headstones in it. I think that cemetery bodies actually had to be relocated, but their headstones are still there or
That's
something
weird.
like that.
That's crazy.
It had a ton. Because we did the Freedom Trail and it's like 40 something stops.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them are around the cemetery. Like in the cemetery, there's a lot in there. But there's so many headstones.
That's cool.
For this space.
Tiny space.
Yes.
You're like, yeah, there's no bodies down there.
Something's up. Something's up.
Yeah.
Or they're all
on top of each other.
Shoulder to shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
It's really close. Okay. However, one grave stood out. We stopped at Paul Revere's grave, and my friend noticed that many people had put rocks and coins on top of his gravestone. He said, "Why are all these coins on the gravestone?" I said, "Well, that's just a sign of respect for the patriot Paul Revere." We were looking at the grave and not saying anything. It felt solemn and almost like a celebrity sighting. It was really neat to be at the gravesite of a man who helped form the United States of America. We were standing there with all these pennies, nickels, and dimes on the ground near his grave. There was no wind, and everything was very still. Suddenly, one of the pennies just popped up from the ground, went up a couple of feet in the air, and landed face down. I looked at my friend, and he looked at me. I asked, "Did you just see that?" And he said, "I certainly did." And that was that. It felt cheerful right there near his grave. I don't know if it was us or if it was Mr. Revere. It just felt whimsical. We paid respects to other notable people buried there, and as we were leaving, I looked back. It felt like there was something behind me. When I turned around, it was Paul Revere's grave. It seemed like there was an energy there, and my eyes were playing tricks on me. Everything around the gravestone was blurry, and I had tunnel vision. My friend was experiencing the same thing. Maybe Paul Revere was giving us a wink and a nod from the grave, as it were. It is amazing to think of these people, to wonder what they went through to found a nation like the United States of America. An amazing group of people who came together at the same time in history to create a nation. It was like our country was preordained, meant to be. talk about the paranormal. So it'd be interesting that he'd be there because whenever if his body's there and the headstones and everything, but he actually has a statue down a corridor where it's like a huge statue of him riding, and the corridor leads to the church, and the church is where the lights went out so there's Boston, and then I can't think of what the little city is next to it, but right now it actually is connected by a bridge. You can just go by bridge, but you used to have to go all the way around, and that's where there was like there were like soldiers or something stationed there. And so that's what they had to light the candle. And they'd made a thing already saying like about the redcoats where like if you saw the candle or whatever come out, the lantern come out, and it was only out for like a snap of your fingers for them to see it to know that the redcoats were coming.
The British are coming. The British are coming.
They actually said that he most likely did not
do that.
Ride. Yeah. I think he did actually get on his horse, or there was someone else who got on a horse, but it was more that light. I think I could have the story kind of jacked up, but it was really interesting. It was part of what we walked and saw. Seeing the church. That is really cool. So I would imagine that's where when I saw the title of this, I was like, oh, I was imagining like the ghost of him and his horse riding down that corridor.
Yeah. I was going to say before you started anyway, like I wonder if he does, like people do see him like ride up and down that corridor, you know?
It is it was like a 13, I think, like it would have been a 13-mile trip to get to the other thing since there's no bridge. But that's why they created the light, is because it would have been hard to get someone there fast enough. It was something like that. I'd learned about it and my brain said, it's by. And so it's halfway there and it's halfway
by. Gone.
Yeah, Goodbye. It's halfway there, halfway gone. This one is called The Black-Eyed Girl.
Oh, no.
This was a terrifying event, and it's hard for me to talk about. It was about a month after I moved into my current apartment. One evening, I came home from work, and I had an uneasy feeling. I don't know how to explain it. It was almost an impending sense of doom that came out of nowhere. I decided to go to bed, and I didn't eat that night, which is very uncharacteristic for a guy like me. At about 1 a.m., I heard rapping at the door. It wasn't a standard knock sound. I am near a college campus, so I figured it was some drunk kids fooling around. I had work in the morning, so I tried to forget about it and went back to sleep. It just kept on, this rapping sound. Finally, I walked to the door, and by this time, it was 2:22 in the morning. I opened it, and there was a girl standing there. I'd say she was probably 13 or 14 years old. She was looking down at the ground, and the first thing she said to me was, "They sent me here."
Oh, no, they didn't.
I was terrified as it was, feeling uneasy the whole night, and then this girl showed up with this cryptic message, and I said, "Who sent you here?" She said, "Just please let me in." I felt this cold air sweep over me, and my stomach was turning. I had never felt that way before. I opened the door all the way. I hadn't even made eye contact with her. She was talking in an emotionless, drone-like type voice, and again, she said, "Please let me in." I said, "Look, I'll go grab a phone. You can use the telephone. Do you want to call somebody?" She said, "No, please let me in. They sent me here." I yell, "Who sent you here?" and added, "I'm getting the phone and calling the police." I turned around and switched the light on. She said, "Let me in." I replied, "No, I am not letting you in." She started getting extremely agitated. She kept saying, "They sent me here." Then she looks up at me and says, "This is only going to take a minute. I'm telling you that I have never been so scared in my life." As soon as my eyes met hers, I realized hers were completely blacked out. Not dilated pupils, but the whole eye itself was black. This put me in the back of my heels. Then and there, I decided I was calling the police. I turned around and grabbed the phone. When I swiveled back, I saw that the girl was gone. I called the police and they laughed at me saying, "A little girl shows up and a grown man is worried about that." I just didn't feel comfortable letting the child into my apartment, let alone one with completely black eyes. I was even afraid to share my story here. I was terrified that she might come back. My only hope is that somebody has the answer or possibly something that could keep these things away. They're not children and I don't want another visit.
B-E-K, B-E-K,
Yeah.
B-E-K.
No questions there.
Scary.
My mom told me that her dog Sammy reminds her of a BEK.
Oh my God. Poor Sammy.
Yeah, he's like, "I'm just like 90 years old in dog form.
Yeah,
I'm
just old man.
He's just trying to survive at this point in time."
Bless his little heart.
That would terrify the hell out of me. And I always felt so much safer in my apartment because you're like surrounded by so many people. I lived alone, but I felt safe. I had no problem sleeping. I always felt comfortable because there were so many people around.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you like this story, like, comment, subscribe, all the good things. I will put where I pulled all these stories from into the show notes so that you can go read more of them, give credit where credit is due. Go feel free to join our Discord. It is completely free. We all just talk, have fun. We've gotten a lot of new people in and they kind of immerse yourself into the situation. We really just talk about like our days and what's going on. We don't talk about anything crazy or anything like that. It's just fun. Mm-hmm. But there is also like a suggestion spot there so you can tell us what stories you may want next. Yeah, things like that. But feel free to send us your stories, send us recommendations. We are in the planning ahead phase right now. So if there's things you maybe want to listen to around Halloween and things like that, go ahead and get them to us because we are going to be recording for Halloween starting very quickly. It's April 12th today, but that's fine. We've got to do it. And send that to sistersofthestrangepodcast@gmail.com. Go follow all of our social medias and we will see you again this week.
Friday.
Okay.
See you Friday.
Bye.
Bye.